Well, folks, it would seem as if I have finally found my excuse to talk about a situation that's been really getting under my skin for the last couple weeks. That, of course, being the Technicals and ZeRo situation. And it has been handled extraordinarily poorly, in my opinion at least, by Technicals and ZeRo. Now, I need to state this outright, up front, be completely sincere with you. This video is going to build upon a lot of ideas discussed in not only Technical's video covering the ZeRo allegations, ZeRo's response, which is on a technicality, and yes, I understand using Technicals, which is a person's name, and a technicality and technically and all that is very confusing. I will not do that in the future. It's technically separate, and of course John Swan's recent video, which is the reason that I am making this video right now, and a couple of Augie RFC's streams. I am not asking you to watch all of these videos. I'm not at all. However, I am saying that I am going to be using a lot of information from these places, and if you want to get a more detailed breakdown of every single minute detail, those are good places to start. Now, as for what I'm concerned in this video, I'm using this as a rant to, discuss why I think Technical's video is not only shit, why I think Technicals just can't take any criticism for this video, and just overall, it's not a very fun video. This is not a very, I guess, charitable depiction of Technicals, because I think, Technicals is, we've given, as a commentary community, we have given Technicals a little too much rope to work with. Most people would use that rope to tie their point together. However, Technicals has used that rope to tie a noose. So I think it's more, on my part, I think it's more than deserved that I am overly critical of Technicals in this situation at the very least. So with that being said, let's head into the video. So here's some context for those that need it. ZeRo is a competitive Smash YouTuber, right? And in 2020, there were many allegations made against him, most of which involving sexual misconduct. Now, of course, Smash being a game that is pretty much designed and marketed towards kids, that is kind of a big deal, especially considering that these allegations involved children. Well, thankfully for ZeRo, most of these turned out to be false. However, the worst allegation was actually true, because ZeRo confessed to it. However, here is where the trickery and stupidity starts. Technicals comes in and he wants to make a video on the ZeRo situation, figuring out what happened and getting to the truth of it. However, and he does get to the truth of many of these allegations, disproving them. However, there is a bit of a massive flaw, mind you. That, of course, being that ZeRo was guilty of the biggest accusation against him. That, of course, being he wanted to solicit nudes from a minor. Note on the wanted to. He didn't succeed with this, but he wanted it to. The exact thing he wanted, right, was a 14-year-old girl. While he was 19, mind you, that's a 5-year age gap. He wanted her to send him pictures of her masturbating with ice. Now, I know what you're probably saying right now. KB baby, that's indefensible. Are you saying Technicals defended that? No, he condemned it. However, he makes it very hard to get to that point. In fact, Technicals' video is an offense for ZeRo, despite, what I just said happening. This allegation is true. He could admit it to it. But the problem that Technicals brings up is, well, it's his suicide letter, which ZeRo has now come out and said that, yeah, this was a suicide letter, and he was trying to sabotage himself, whatever that means. But let's just assume that, sure, it's a suicide letter. Now, frankly, I find it a bit weird, just a little, kooky, that ZeRo would not admit to his crimes in his suicide letter. He would just make it up, throw himself under the bus. Now, apparently some commentary YouTubers have talked to people that are more well-versed in the field of mental health, and everybody that they've talked to has apparently said that it's a load of shit. That's not what people with suicidal thoughts do. Now, I can't speak to the validity of that because I don't know if they've talked to them, and I haven't myself talked to them, and I am not a mental health expert. However, I can tell you for a fact that it's a little stupid that your argument basically boils down to, guys, we can't trust ZeRo's word when he says that he wanted to solicit nudes from a minor. We can now, however, trust his word now. The only proof of that ZeRo wanted to... there is no proof, right? The only proof being... the fact that he confessed, but that presents a problem, right? Basically the argument has to boil down to, yo, you can't take his word there, but now you definitely have to take his word now. I feel like that's a little, what's the word? Fucking retarded. And now, I don't want to, pardon my French there, but I'm not gonna humor that, right? However, Technicals sure as shit does, which is, an interesting way of going about things, that's for sure. And, he has had massive problems, with the commentary community, and how they just don't get it, man. Apparently, they just don't get it. A big piece of Technicals' defense is that he's not making excuses for ZeRo, and the commentary community just don't get that. And maybe there's some legitimacy to this argument. After all, he is saying that he's just giving context, and maybe in an alternate reality, I might be able to buy that just a little bit. Here is the fundamental problem, however. Technicals picks and chooses what context he thinks is necessary to provide to the audience, which, you know what, maybe that's fine, right? Because after all, not every piece of detail in every situation is relevant, okay? Everybody knows this, right? Not every piece of the story is relevant. We can all agree to that. I hope we can, at the very least. However, again, what he picks and chooses is the important part in this. The problem being, he includes things that are almost entirely irrelevant for sympathy. However, he will not include what is arguably vital pieces of information. For example, he did not read any of the DMs between the alleged victim and ZeRo. The alleged victim, by the way, his name is Katie. Just so you know. And so Katie and ZeRo have these DMs, and, they look pretty bad for ZeRo, right? It's very hard to make the argument that ZeRo was just, a foreigner that had no idea what he was doing, because he came from Chile, guys, and that was an important piece of information, too, and the age of consent laws in Chile, that was an important piece of information. However, for some reason, the DMs between the victim and ZeRo were not context that was deemed important. Really gets the noggin jogging, doesn't it? Kinda weird, huh? Furthermore, there were several parts of ZeRo's response that Technicals deemed, okay, that's not necessary. For example, he cut out about 2/3 of, ZeRo's suicide letter. In the suicide letter, which again we shouldn't take that seriously, guys. It was made under distress. You can't take it. Trust his word now, not then, right? Part of the problem is that in that suicide letter, he defends himself, and he admits to a situation that nobody knew anything about. And, again, he defends himself. For example, he'll be like, no images were traded, and he'll, constantly correct things. It doesn't sound like somebody that was trying to sabotage himself. Because if he was trying to sabotage himself, you'd make him look as bad as possible, and yet, in this letter, he's defending himself. Also, of course, this might just be a me thing, but there's no proof, other than ZeRo's word, that this was a suicide letter, and his wife's word, right? So, for all we know, he could be, using the fact that he was suicidal at a point and made a suicide attempt to retroactively explain away what he did. Now, I'm not going to delve into whether or not I think that's the case, because I think, you can't prove it, right? That, there's a lot more substantial arguments to be made rather than simply relying on things that I cannot prove, right? And I think that's fair to say. But I think that's enough for me personally discussing Technicals' video and so-called defense of ZeRo, for at the time being at least. Maybe I'll potentially revisit this situation much later down the line as, you know, a bit of a flashback, looking back at it. But for right now, I want to talk about Technicals' character right now, because that's something that's not being discussed a whole lot, and, you know, that's for good reason. Most of the people in the commentary community knew Technicals, and, you know, it's hard for them to throw under the bus a former friend. Well, thankfully, I'm not Technicals' fucking friend, so I can just do that for them. Now, Technicals has been nothing but a whiny fucking bitch ever since this video has dropped. Frankly, the moment I got bad vibes from Tech was when Augie RFC, Nicholas Diorio, and I believe it was Bo Blacks were not even doing a Red Fox comm stream, right? It was just a normal off-brand stream, you know. The Red Fox comm stream, to give you guys some context, gets significantly more views than just regular one-off streams, right? So it was just a one-off stream, right? It wasn't made to be a big deal. They were just watching the video, you know, as you do, right? And, you know, as soon as they started having criticisms about the video, Technicals had to make his way onto the fucking live stream to, like, be like, no, you're misinterpreting. That's the moment I fucking was like, yeah, that's fucking weird, dude. It was more, it made me think like you were not, Technicals was basically saying, you are not allowed to disagree with me, which is not what he was saying, but I felt like that was like the general vibe I got from him, right? And that set off a red flag, especially considering how, like, as the stream progressed, I was thinking that Technicals just made a shittier video than I was initially led to believe, because, again, at the time, I didn't have most of the context that was omitted from the video, and some of that was brought up during the live stream, some of which I've discussed in this video, but trust me, there's probably some things that I'm just forgetting in my head at the moment in time, because this is just supposed to be, you know, a spur-of-the-moment rant kind of thing, right? So, Technicals, right, he goes onto, he has to charge into this live stream to defend himself, right? And, like, Nick has the, like, hardest critique of Technicals out of all of them, right? And so this continues, like, on and off, like, on Twitter for, like, a week or two until Thanksgiving, in which, you know, Technicals blocks Nick because he leaked the DM, which he was asking for context for another friend, so if Technicals used, like, 1% of his brain, he would have realized that Nick was gonna share that DM, or the contents of that DM. Of course, maybe the reason he got mad was because it made him look bad, whatever, it doesn't matter. Point being, you know, Technicals was being a little bitch baby, right? And so, that happens, and then eventually, a day after Thanksgiving, you know, by this time, I'm just, like, I'm sick as a dog, mind you, and so I'm just, all I can really do is just watch this shit go down on Twitter, and, Connor, which is Augie RFC's roommate, notices that there's a Reddit thread on Technicals' brother, and, you know, it comes out that, you know, his brother's kind of a weird guy. I'm not gonna call him a pedo or anything, but he did draw, I don't want to, like, go into this whole situation, but to give you, like, a simple rundown, if you want a more complicated breakdown of the story, go watch John Swan's video, it's at the end, and basically what ends up happening is Tech's brother makes illustrated drawings of underage, real underage children in sexual acts, and obviously, that's a big no-no, and I don't think I need to tell you why, so I'm sitting, and that seems a little relevant because it seems like Technicals would have to throw his brother under the bus if he threw ZeRo under the bus. And there's a whole bunch of other arguments and stuff like that. And here's just, like, the last thing I wanted to say. Technicals was just ass mad about this. There's no other way to put this, right? And you know what? Maybe if I was in his position, I would be too. However, because, you know, nobody wants to throw their brother under the bus. Well, I don't know about myself, but I know most people can't do that, and that's totally fine, right? Here's my thing. Technicals' brother is by no means, like, a private, like, individual. He has 800,000 followers on TikTok, mind you. This is not, like, you're just bringing up my brother who isn't a public figure at all. No. The commentary community knew who this guy was. Technicals' brother went to VidCon with them, and on top of that, he is he is as public figures get. 800,000 followers on TikTok. Holy shit. Yeah, seems kind of upsetting that somebody that would depict underage children in sexual acts has that kind of following, don't you think? But not only that, but to top it all off, Technicals' brother also sent like dick pics to this group chat in which he drew Myers in. So I've got to ask, right? Why, like, how can you? I know that it's hard. You can't like disavow your brother, but it's like, holy shit, he has like 800,000 followers on TikTok, dude, and he sent his dick pic to like underage people. There was like a 13-year-old in that group chat, according to him, and this was on 2 separate occasions, right? How the fuck? Why would you think that's okay? Like, Technicals and his brother says it's, you know, shock value, right? To get a reaction out of people. It sure as shit fucking worked, don't you think? It's so fucking stupid, dude. Like, I don't understand, like, and apparently Technicals, maybe he didn't run this group chat. It's still very unclear because, you know, his testimony and his brother's testimony on the situation just don't fucking line up at all. So yeah, it's pretty hard, right? And any attempts to try and reach out to Technicals on this situation has been met with Technicals being a whiny fucking asshole. So that's cool. You know, I really like, you know, not being able to get to the bottom of things. Very, very effective use of the commentary community's time, I assure you that. So why am I including that information about Technicals' brother? Well, I don't believe in this guilty by association nonsense, but I just wanted to make the point, right, that nobody asked Technicals to be the sexual allegation guru of the Smash community. Nobody did, simply put. That was Technicals' own doing. So it becomes incredibly... Because I do think it's a valid criticism that you have something that, like, big, like, tied to you, and you want to represent basically victims in the Smash community, whether that be false accusations or true allegations, right? I think that becomes a point of contention because it kind of, I guess, it blurs the lines in a way that I don't think is good, right? And I really do think it's not good, right? I'm not making this video because, like, oh, you know, I just want to get some of the commentary community clout, you know, like, not everything has to be fueled by that decision. In fact, I came to the conclusions I did not because, oh, I like Augie and Nick more than Technicals. No, I just watched Technicals' video. I watched, you know, the live streams, and I came to the conclusion that Technicals was either stupid or he just didn't know what he was talking about. Let me rephrase that. He was either stupid in thinking that ZeRo had any sympathy for the victim, Katie, at all, or he didn't care and he was using the situation for other means, right? And that's really fucking shitty, in my opinion. So, yeah, I've wanted to do a much more detailed, more, I guess, documentary-styled video, but again, I said this in my last video, that shit just hasn't been going to plan, computer don't work, sent it back, it is what it is, we move forward. So maybe I lost an opportunity there because I did screenshot everything. Maybe I'll upload a video just with all the screenshots I've collected, you know, just for posterity's sake. But yeah, I think that's about it for the video. I don't think I want to drag this out any longer than I had to. I think I said my piece. So yeah, with all that being said, I've been KB, baby. And that has been the video. God bless your soul. Stay rad. Don't be radicalized. And yeah, I'm signing out. Peace.